The 12th Ornament, a Christmas horror story. Christmas Eve was Nora's favorite night of the year. She always decorated her tree with care, hanging her treasured ornaments one by one. This year she was especially excited. Her grandmother had left her a box of old family decorations. The ornaments were stunning: delicate glass baubles, tiny angels, and one peculiar piece that stood out: a twisted silver ornament in the shape of a gnarled hand. Creepy, but cool, Nora said to herself, and placed it near the top of the tree. She didn't notice the strange way the lights dimmed for just a moment after she hung it. That night, the house felt unusually cold. Nora wrapped herself in a blanket, scrolling through her phone on the couch. The Christmas tree sparkled in the corner, casting warm, cheerful light around the room. But as the hours passed, Nora began to feel uneasy. The shadows from the tree seemed off. The branches swayed faintly, though the air was still. Then she heard it, a soft tapping sound, like tiny fingers drumming against the window. Nora froze, staring at the glass, but the curtains were closed. Slowly, she stood and pulled them aside. Nothing. The sound stopped. She laughed nervously. "It's just the wind." But as she turned back to the couch, she saw it. One of the ornaments was moving. The gnarled silver hand twisted slightly on its string, as if it were reaching for something. "Nora," a low voice whispered. Her heart leapt into her throat. She spun around, searching for the source of the voice, but the room was empty. She grabbed her phone to call someone, anyone, but the screen was glitching, lines of static streaking across it. The lights on the tree flickered, and the whisper came again. "Nora, let us in." The silver hand was no longer on the tree. It was on the floor, its pointed fingers scratching toward her like a spider. She screamed, bolting for the door, but as her hand touched the doorknob, she felt it. Cold, bony fingers wrapping around her wrist. The room went dark. When Nora opened her eyes, she was no longer in her living room. The air was thick and cold, and she stood in a dense forest of tall, skeletal trees. Their branches were bare, but strange ornaments hung from them, glass baubles that shimmered faintly, each containing a frozen face. She stepped closer to one and gasped. It was her grandmother's face, her eyes wide in terror, her mouth slightly open as if she had been caught mid-scream. "Grandma," Nora whispered, her breath clouding in the icy air. A faint laugh echoed behind her. She turned sharply. The silver ornament, no longer tiny, stood before her, now as tall as a man. Its gnarled fingers extended, and its hollow eyes gleamed with malicious light. "You've joined the collection," it rasped. Nora ran, weaving through the trees, but the more she ran, the more ornaments she saw. Faces she recognized, her grandmother, her mother, even her best friend. Each was trapped, their expressions frozen in fear. The creature's voice followed her, low and mocking. "There's no escape, Nora. The 12th ornament completes the tree." Nora stumbled into a clearing. At the center stood a massive tree, its branches sparkling with lights and countless ornaments. She realized with horror that they were all people. She looked up. The silver hand was at the top, grinning down at her with a cruel, toothy smile. The branches reached out, wrapping around her arms and legs, pulling her upward. She screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the darkness. The next morning, Nora's neighbors noticed her curtains were still drawn. They knocked, but no one answered. Inside, the Christmas tree stood as beautiful as ever, with a new ornament hanging near the top, a tiny silver figure with wide, terrified eyes. Love this holiday horror! Don't forget to like, comment, and follow for more chilling tales. What would you do if you found a cursed ornament? Let me know below. Merry Christmas.